Katt Williams broke the internet. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
And I don't think I could have imagined an interview being as important as the Katt Williams interview was in 2024. He hit January with a bang. It changed Shannon Sharpe's life, to be sure. Shannon Sharpe was already rich and famous and popular, but Club Shay Shay went from being a cool space to being the spot.
Yeah.
It got, at some point, it was at like 55, 60 million. It's the most watched interview in YouTube history. And in podcast history.
Yeah.
It was a thing. But I'm not worried about the success of the interview per se, although that's interesting. Katt said a whole lot of stuff was going to happen. He said it was going to be a year of truth-telling and awakenings and unfoldings and reckonings. What do you make of it? Was this the year of Katt Williams? Was Katt right?
Dr. Lindsey, would you?
Oh, I mean, it's not even a tough one, but it is an interesting question. I mean, clearly this year, when you said January 1st, I was like, what happened January 1st? I was, because there's this time warp that's happened, particularly in the kind of COVID forward era. I don't want to say post-COVID because COVID's still out here. Please be safe out there. But there is this sense of time that's just very distorted. But Katt, in only the way Katt Williams could, after reading the 3,000 books or so he read, or
wow,
being one who gave us that great line of an unhealthy you just to lose. I mean, there's bars in there, there's insight in there, and part of that I think obviously comes from his comedic insights that he just has. That one of the brilliant parts about Katt Williams as a comedian, as an actor for years, has been the way he taps into the moment, to the cultural moment, his own knowledge, his own relationship with the industry, his own relationship with society at large. And I think he just went on there and was himself, and credit to the platform that existed there, because he's so skilled at what he does. We really got a 3-hour plus, just everything. It wasn't even an interview per se. We got Katt Williams for 3 hours.
No.
Telling us everything and then some that we wanted to know, didn't want to know, didn't know we needed to know. And I've just been checking off things that have happened this year that go back to Katt Williams moment. So a portal was certainly opened with that sit down. And I know he is some whipping, some brown liquor, pleased that he was as prescient as he turned out to be. Right. Debates about that. I remember having a moment here, he had some jokes in there. It's Katt Williams, extremely funny. Had a joke in there about Gaza, which was so terrible and awful. I remember that distinctively well. And he's usually so on point in some of his critiques. I still think about the insurgents one from his early session about like how we think about when America's abroad doing all kinds of violent shit all over the world. And you're like, oh, they killed insurgents. Well, I don't know no fucking insurgents. Yeah, kill them motherfuckers. And what we talked about, and how he did it. So to have that kind of flippant remark, but thinking about predatory behavior in the industry, talking about opening up the floodgates of kind of Me Too hitting the industries that he was in closer proximity to, that really spoke to things. That really, it's not that opened up. We already had something going into that year about what truths were unfolding and what was coming to the light. But I think he set it off in a way that only Katt Williams could.
When you first heard this, Jameer, and I know you're a close watcher of Club Shay Shay and a big fan of comedy, so I know you were following kind of all of this. Did you think Katt Williams was tripping and it became more real to you, or from the beginning were you like, yo, he's on to something?
I knew he was on to something. But like, I think as the months progressed, you started to see like more breadcrumbs add up. And like he was saying when he started talking about Diddy, and you know, because you got to say no to Puff, and you know, months later, hey, you know, so like he was on point about a lot, and I even think like within the comedy world too, because like if you look, there's like an old promo of Katt doing the joke that he says Cedric stole from him, and a lot of people was, you know, trying to discredit Katt, but a lot of people came to his defense, and we started seeing the God bless you. Once we started seeing the receipts kind of be calculated, like people was kind of like, oh, you know, like Katt is probably telling the truth. He sounds like he's telling the truth. And I even think like the interview, just as an interview, did a lot for 2024. We kind of saw media like shift from that interview. Like YouTube numbers for YouTube videos aren't as high as they've been in, you know, previous years because so many mediums are changing. This was like one of the first interviews to like crash YouTube in a minute, and it kind of changed the way people. Club Shay Shay, even having Kamala on, there would be no Kamala if it wasn't for that Katt Williams interview. I don't think there would have been a Trump and Joe Rogan if it wasn't for Katt Williams. So you got to see like what the changing landscape of media was too. So I think, as you know, as much things that he talked about on the show, we got to give Katt Williams his like just due. He like shook up the internet day one and changed the landscape
for an entire year.
Yeah.
So one of the things